back to Choose Your Own Path. And today we're making the video of our walking stick. So I'm going to show you. I already had it started. Now this stick was sitting for a couple years. I think it was a part of an apple tree. I don't know, it doesn't smell like one, but I had a couple of different ones and I burnt a couple, which I wasn't supposed to, but I did. I guess my buddies came and partied and that's what happens. So it started off maybe about 3 inches thick, maybe 2.5. And this already had the curve to it. Plus, it had a little bit of a branch out, so I'm going to use that as the rattle. I did peel it already, obviously you could tell, and I started to carve into it. I did a short a couple days ago, I guess, last week, and I was just showing a little bit of it, but I didn't show any process there either. So today we're going to work on, you can see I put an eye, the eyes, these guys you can find on Amazon, get them in any different sizes, and they're perfect for making your eyes. Now it's still a little flat. I'm going to get in there and sort of round it off after. What I wanted to start off with is I'm showing you just the little pattern I have of the mouth and the teeth. Now because this guy is a little thinner than normal, I'm going to use a smaller bit. Now I don't have anything smaller in Cuts-All, and here's one thing I want to give you guys a big thumbs up for looking at the affiliate and buying some of the tools, because I just got a little bit of a kickback from them, which is awesome. It helps out the channel, buys us some more tools, whatever we want. But you know, Cuts-All is a great tooling company, and I'll leave a link down below for those who haven't seen it. And again, if you want to use it, you know, you get 5% off of your sales, and you know, they're just great. I also want to give a big shout out to Mike Stinnett, because Mike is the guy that you know, he's the granddaddy of all of us snake stick carvers. He has a book out, how to carve a rattlesnake walking stick, and he goes through pretty much a good section of his toolings and a picture of him, you know, and stuff like that. It's a great book. I think he also has it on PDF and all that stuff. So I mean, I bought this personally from him because you know, I think the guy's a great guy, but it's worth it. I mean, for a good read, very basic. He shows you just the basics of what to do, and how you can see he makes his sticks. And you know what really stands out for Mike is like his ability to carve is awesome, but it's his ability to know his paint, how to paint all the intricacies, you know, all the details of everything. The guy is like top notch when it comes up to this kind of stuff. He's a guy who just loves to carve, and you know, so am I, so are you. If you're watching this channel, obviously. I took reference off of his book, as I always do. His videos are out there. Mike Stinnett is his name, so check him out. Also, again, go check out the links for our videos. And yeah, so I'm gonna get set up, and let's get to it. So we're back on the stick. I just want to show you guys that I'm using a razor tip, and this is a well, it's kind of a bulkier. It's not a thin kind of sharp tip. You get them in your when you buy this bottle, they come with about well, there was a handful in there anyway. And yeah, what I do is I carved in the features, and then I burn them to kind of bring them out, I guess. So as you can see, let's try to keep this steady. There's the eye, and then plus with the painting, it just gives it a little bit more detail. So when I do the scales, I'll be using the punch, but for the face, all I did was I took the round edge and I just kind of touched it in there, just to cover it up. Snakes have scales. Some of them are flat. Maybe the head will be a little bit more flat. One of the things I've looked at was when Mike does his, he has different diagrams of how he traces, how he kind of draws in the top end, what he puts on there. And then you could see this as the same drawing I did earlier. You can see that there are somewhat scales, obviously on the top and underneath. So I'm going to work on that today. I did do a bit of the rattle, but it doesn't look the best to me yet. I'm still gonna work on it. So I'm just gonna show you guys just very little bits here and there, turning on the razor tip. Having the scales going outwards, not inwards, like not facing towards, because they all got a flow, got it working. So I'm just gonna show you guys if I can. All I'm doing is lightly touching it because I got this on the highest setting. Oops. I'm just trying to roll it. You can hear it burning because the wood is still, as much as this is dry, it still has moisture in it. So you can set any kind of pattern you want on it. One of the things that I always like to tell people, it's the same thing, is when you paint over this, it disappears. Not fully, but it does disappear. Like not disappear, just it's not as noticeable, I guess you could say. So, but it does give a different kind of a look to your projects. Burning it, obviously carving into something would be more, it'd be more pronounced, but it's good. So, I haven't asked this, but I hope everybody's doing good. I'm doing better-ish. Not 100%, never be 100%, but if it wasn't for carving and making videos like this, I don't know what I'd be doing, because honestly, this kind of stuff keeps me going. My family keeps me going more, but this keeps me going. But health-wise, we're okay. And I hope you guys are okay too. That's the most important part. You would really enjoy what you're doing. If you really enjoy what you're doing, then do it. I mean, therapeutic, right? That's what they say. I mean, I don't know how old you guys are, but I'm in my 50s. And that's just the way it is. Working also on the belly part. So it's the same thing. I carved it out. And then all I'm doing is I'm just bringing in the lines. And then this also helps me, or helps all of us with painting, because then you know where to stop and that. If you just basically just drew it on and said, go for it, I mean, it's your design. Do what you want. I don't. All right, let me continue this, and then we'll show you the next step. All right, so we burnt in as much as we could, and then we started on the scaling. Now, I've showed this on other videos, but if you're new, I'm going to show you what I do. Is I take a, where are you? I take a screwdriver, an old screwdriver bit, and this is pretty much, it's not perfect, but it's pretty much, and I'm going to show you what Mike shows, how he has it. Now, you can go to razor tip on if you have the razor tip, and they will custom make you a tip for your machine and to make scales. Now, I don't particularly like using my machine, but there's the scales you can follow. He has everything from, there's a 4-inch all the way, to the 2-inch. And I'm moving around a lot. You can see the pattern. Well, that is pretty much the pattern I use. Now, I would make this more out to be, like, this is not, sorry, not 2-inch, 2 millimeter. That's not 2 millimeter. This is just a drawing. So this would probably be, well, I don't have to say probably. Let's take the measuring tape out, and I'll just give you what I can't remember half the time. So from the tail to the round part at the top, so it's almost like an arrow pointing upwards. I have this at about 5 millimeters, and the diameter, like the width of it, the biggest part would be about 4, so it's a 5x4. And you can see the scaling. You can see that very well. It's gonna be better when I burn it, but you can see the scaling in there shows that the scales are going downwards. So the thinner piece going in the front and the thicker pieces going to the back, as a scale would be, just like on a fish. I don't overlap them. What I do is I put them beside them. Now, this process I've made myself. I don't know anybody else who does this. This is my idea. So very simple. Like I said, I take a screwdriver, I grind out the image. I take a little hammer, take a big hammer, whatever you want. You don't have to go too hard on it. All you want to do is place it and give it a tap, and you're in. So, probably at least a couple of thousand scales you have to do. Now, the difference, again, I've said this before in my other videos, the reasoning and the difference why I don't use the razor tip. I do have some of those scales made out. The reason I don't use them is my machine sucks balls. Is just no fucking good. It cuts out on me. Even if I had a better machine, like a brand new machine, it is what it is. This is faster. By the time you burn 5 scales, I could probably tap 20. Now, the difference is when you use the burner, you're actually burning in the scales, right? So for me, what I'll do is I'll tap them, and then when I'm done, I'll take some light sandpaper and I'll just go over it just to get the bigger pieces out. Now, that happens too with your scaling. It kind of burns and it picks up the fuzz. So what I'll do after that is take the torch and I'll just torch it, and you get the same effect. Time-wise, I mean, what's it costing you? Unless you're doing this professionally and it's got to be done tomorrow or in the next 10 minutes, you know, you want to do it right. You could use a scale. Like I said, you could use the tips of this. It makes it. It's faster. For me, it's faster. I don't enjoy the burning smell of wood. I mean, having a fire is great, but you know, that constant smell coming at you. You gotta wear a respirator. I don't care for it. Like when I burnt all this stuff, it just was coming in my face. I should have wore a respirator. I didn't. I have the door open. I'm in my shop, so it's very well ventilated. I have a stick back there. I did a snake, and that almost had to be at least 6,000 scales on it. But again, when you do it the way I was doing it, or I'm doing it, it just doesn't seem as long. Like I sit here for an hour, and I could probably get at least half of it done. By the time somebody burns it, you don't have to just have heat it, touch it, heat it, touch it. Well, that heater doesn't always go well in wood. The bit, not the bit, the end of this fucking thing doesn't always burn well. And then sometimes you have to repeat it. With this, if you hit too hard, you're going right through it. If you hit too soft, you got to do it again. It's just my way of doing it, and I think it works great. But like I said, this is the scaling. This is the kind of scaling. Let's see if folks in. I have the other punch, which is just a round, which I use for my fish. And then what I'll do is I will sometimes use this if it's a normal snake. And I also have another, I did make another punch somewhere. No, that's just a normal one. I think I had a punch somewhere else. Or maybe I sold it. I think somebody bought it off me. I had another one. It was smaller than this because I was making them different sizes. I was making them and selling them. I sold a couple to make for some people. Just, you know, took my time. I charged whatever I had to charge. The problem is it takes a lot of time to make these because you're grinding them out and you got to make sure you're precise. And I just don't have time for that anymore. I got too busy doing other things that I need to do. But very simple. Like I said, just take a screwdriver and then take a, you could take any kind of bit. I would, you know, preferably say take a metal cutting bit, and then you can basically just carve it in and just, you know, look at it through a magnifying glass or your glasses. I always have to wear these guys. Make sure you get the size, measure them out. They look perfectly. This looks good. Everybody I've known says, hey, those look like scales, and I'm like, thanks, because that's what they're supposed to be. Anyway, this is going to take a bit of time because, like I said, there's a lot of snake to do. So I'm going to finish this up, and when I'm done, I'll bring you along for the burn and the sanding and all that. And then after that, it will be painting. That's always a fun job. So I'll be back. Here we are. So with all of the scales punched in, you can barely see it. But I started off by taking the torch to it, and this will make the scales pop. So this way you can see Well, you can really see all the mistakes you did. If you went crooked or whatever, at the higher points, you can see it saved me a lot of time. And it's just the way I do things. Again, you could see the scales are popping out really good. I'm going to finish this up, and then we're going to prime paint, whatever you want to call it. I don't have any primer, so what I did was I just mixed a good batch of, this is just like a off-white with some water in it. It'll seal it. I mean, you put enough shit on it after, it'll keep it good. It's easy just to paint on. Let me get back to this. All right, guys, so we are gonna stop this video, or we're gonna end our video at the priming of our snake, Rattle Snake walking stick. So what I did was I just added a first coat, not too thick, just enough to put on. I'm gonna let this dry for 10-15 minutes, and I'm gonna add another coat on it after, just to get in there. And then once this is fully dry, we're gonna start on the paint. So stay tuned for that. If you want to see the rest of it, come and subscribe. You know, give me a like, give me a comment. What do you think about it? Does it look like a snake? Kind of. But yeah, it's fun. So you know what, if I could do it, you could do it. Choose your own path. See you on the next one.